Good morning, everyone. My name is Rob Del Mastro. Just going to wait 1 or 2 more minutes just to see if more show up, and then we'll get started.
Ruby's here too. She's like, I want to learn how to make a website.
Good morning, Paula.
Hi, Rob. Hi,
Good
Sarah.
morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for having me. And my cat that walks across the computer every opportunity she gets. So rude. All right, I'm going to mute myself.
All right, we're muting. All right.
Good morning, Lee. All right, we'll just wait 1 more minute and then we'll go. All right, I think we're going to roll then. All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Rob Del Mastro, and I am with the Massachusetts Small Business Development Center out of Clark University here in Worcester, Massachusetts. For those of you who aren't familiar with the MSBDC, we are we're actually part of a national organization across the U.S. We're funded by many sources, including the federal government, the state, and a bunch of grants and sponsors. We provide free counseling and advice to startups and small businesses. We work with small businesses every day. Our office will see, a couple of hundred, several hundred of small businesses a year. And, we'll help you get your business legalized, get it started, help with you with operations. If you're looking to raise capital, we can help you with that. We do not lend money, but we do work with banks and with you to provide a package that they can evaluate if they want to lend money to you or not. And we work with businesses kind of in all phases, all the way up to, I have 2 clients that I'm helping sell their business. So if you or of anybody who is starting a business, wants some advice, have them give us a call. There is a QR code kind of right there where I'm pointing that if you scan that, you can register with us. Once you're registered, Sarah, my co-host here, she will contact you and get you set up with one of the advisors here. And here at Clark, there are 4 of us who do advising, and Sarah is our client manager. All right, so that's my commercial. We will now go on to the webinar. So the goal today is to kind of give you just a general understanding of building a website. There are a lot of pieces that we won't cover today because we only have an hour and a half. But the general idea is that if you come prepared to build a website, you really can fundamentally create the actual website in one day. And I'm going to show you today, and we're going to build a website as we get into this. And I'll probably get 50% of the way through. I only have an hour and a half. This is build a website in a day. So I know you don't want to spend a day watching me create pages. But what I want to do is just to kind of give you an understanding and a feeling of how really easy it is to create a website, even if you're not all that technical. There are some really great tools out there to help you do that. Today, I'm going to use a tool called Squarespace. The only reason I'm using it is because I'm familiar with it. I have probably developed about 20 websites in my day. My background is all in the technical world. I've started a couple of businesses, as I said, kind of all technical. I did software development for many, many years. And I've been using Squarespace since almost it started to come out. But there are other great tools out there as well, like Wix. is probably one of the most popular ones out there. If you actually have a product and you want to sell, Shopify is another great tool that's out there. If you're in the creative field, Etsy is another website builder that's out there. And there are probably 50 other ones that are out there. So let's kind of get into it, right? So everyone is generally always eager just to get right in and start building web pages. And I'm going to tell you that that's really the wrong approach. It's much easier if you kind of start from the beginning. So I see a comment, well, I'll be able to sell my products on this site. You cannot connect it to a Shopify site, but this, Squarespace does offer an e-commerce section. And again, my goal today is not to really get into the specifics of Squarespace. I'd be more than happy to have sessions with any of you offline, about very specific things. You can also see right here, Tech Talks with Rob. I do a kind of an open mic thing once a month. It's the first Thursday of the month at noon. Anybody can join and ask any question you want and I'll answer. So some questions may be great for that session as well. So the building blocks of a website, fundamentally, these are kind of the steps you need to take to create a website. The first one is to define the purpose of your site. Why are you creating a website? What is the purpose you're trying to achieve? You've got to really understand that before you do anything else. Once you've done that, then you build a wireframe, and I'll show you what an example of a wireframe is. But that's basically defining what are the pages you're gonna have on your website, and kind of at a very, very high level, what's the content of those pages. Next is researching keywords. So SEO, search engine optimization, is a huge topic. I've done a webinar just on that. And so we're just going to touch on it here, but it's important to understand for your business, what are people going to search for to find you? What are those keywords that if they type in, your website's going to come up? And I'll show you just a quick tool of how do you find some of those keywords, but those keywords then need to be in the content of your website. And that's what helps your website be search engine optimized. All right. The next step down is to create a document of all of the content on all your pages. So I'll show you, I have a Word document that I've gone in and I've created. I've just written kind of all of the content that I want in a website. If you've accomplished those first 4 steps, you've got what I consider 90% of the challenge of creating a website done. That's the hard stuff, the content and the design of the website. But before you tackle like dropping into Squarespace to build a website, have those pieces done, because the rest then is easy, and I'll show you why it's easy in a minute. I do have a comment in here, collect images. So think about what are the images, the pictures that you want of your website that are specific to your business. Create version 1 of your site. All right. And the reason I say that is I use this expression with many of my clients, and it's one of my favorite expressions, especially in building a website. Done is better than perfect. Okay. I've worked with a lot of clients that will labor over, positioning of images and font sizes and things. And 3 months later, their website still isn't done. Get a version out there. All right. Obviously, it's got to look professional, but don't labor over some of the finer details of the site. Just get a site out there. Once you've done that, connect your website to Google My Business. They have so many new names. I'm not sure exactly what the new name is, but connect that to Google My Business. I also do a webinar on that. Go back now, review your website, research some more keywords. After, there's ways of actually forcing Google to crawl your website to get it in the listings, see if your site's coming up, get some more keywords, refine your website, and then put out a version 2. Okay. Kind of the fundamental steps, I think, in building a website. where we're going to hop in today is really this create V1 of your site and spend some time on how do you build the pages in your tool. So I'm going to reiterate this. This right here, done is better than perfect. I'm going to say it multiple times through the course of today. All right. The idea is to get a version 1 of your website out and then later go back. And the nice thing is that Google really is happy when you keep incrementally changing your website, updating it. It tells Google that you're an active business and that you are spending time on your website. That's actually a key thing in some of the SEO algorithms, for Google. If you create a website and just leave it static for months on end, Google will start to demote your website because they think that you're just not an active person. So going back and recreating and redoing sections is really a positive thing. Okay, so I'm going to drop out of this here now. And now, let's see, where am I going to go? I'm going to go over to, I've got to share my screen. I apologize, this is going to be a little clunky. We're going to be dropping in and out of screens today. All right, so now let's bring up. So what's a wireframe? So I talked about a wireframe. So this in today's exercise, I'm actually going to build a website for a co-working space. If any of you know me from my past, prior to coming to the Small Business Center, I actually ran Clearly Co-working. It was a co-working space here in Worcester. So I had a lot of the content done, which made doing this presentation a little bit easier for me. So the idea here with a wireframe is create the structure of your website. So the example that we've got here is we're going to obviously have a main page. And on that main page, we're going to keep it really simple. We're going to have a welcome message. We're going to list what our services are, and we're going to show a testimonial. Off of that, now my menus up at the top, I'm going to have a service menu option, about us, schedule a tour, contact us, and a photo gallery. So that's kind of the main pages of my website. Under services, if you can notice, we're actually going to have 3 drop downs, and that's going to be open seating, meeting rooms, and private offices. So those are 3 very distinct services that I offered. Why do it that way? That's an SEO trick, right? You're telling Google these are really important. I'm going to make them have their own page. Okay, then if you can see these down here in the bottom, policy, privacy, FAQs, these are called detached pages. They don't show up in your menu, but you can get to them through other pages. So great example would be policy in your privacy statement. Usually in people's footers, they have links to those documents. So they're not in the menus, but you have access to them somewhere else. The FAQ page that we're going to do today is FAQs on meeting rooms. And so on my meeting room page, I'll have a link to the FAQ. But I used Visio to create this diagram. If any of you use Office 365, Visio is a tool you can use to create this. There's a whole bunch of them. There's a website called Octopus out there that actually does a great job of creating wireframes, and that actually lets you do a lot more. You can actually embed content and everything. All right, so that is a wireframe. Okay, so start there. Start with, okay, what are the pages I'm going to have in V1? And then when we get to building the website, I'll show you where this comes into play. All right, the next thing is a document. All right, so I've got a Word document here that I've kind of put all of my content in. And again, this is a demo website, so there's some pretty slim content in here, but you don't want to be wordy on websites in general. I've also gone out and I've done some research on what are the keywords associated with co-working spaces. What are things that people search on? So boardrooms, conference rooms, seminar space, rent a desk, workspace for rent. These are all terms that you now want to incorporate into the content of your website. Okay. Another thing to do is if you want to target a certain area, have some comment on some page, maybe your home page that says, so I kind of, because it's a co-working space, really, you can only do your town and surrounding towns, or your client base. And so I embedded kind of all of the names of the towns in this one sentence. So if somebody were to search co-working spaces in Rutland, this particular sentence Google would pick up and deliver that. I have some color templates here. So as we get into building the site, we can do that. And then I just started, okay, the title of my homepage. This is my intro message. I went into Canva, created a little diagram of maybe how I want to represent my services. And then I have a testimonial that I got from Google for my business. So here's page 1. I'm just going to cut and paste this as I build the website because it's all done. And then as you can see over here on the side, I have a whole list of content that I'm going to paste into the website. All right. Let's see. Let me bring up this. So I just want to show you a little trick on Google on trying to finding some keywords. So first of all, I opened up a private browser because you don't want to have any of your prior search history to kind of influence what Google returns. So I'm in a private browser right now, and I've just typed co-working spaces near me. Okay, so it brings back what it thinks is relevant to me. But what you do is you start looking at some of the terms that are in here. So flexible workspace. So WeWorks is probably the world's largest co-working space. So flexible workspace, that's an interesting term, probably should be on my website. But down on the bottom, which most people never venture down to, Google provides you with a list of related searches. And these are really great when you're trying to figure out what terms should be in your website. So based on just typing co-working spaces near me, these are some of the other things that Google suggests maybe you should search on. Workspace for rent. So that's another key term phrase probably should have in my website up there. Private office space for rent, virtual office space. And then, so you can play around with this by just continuing to put terms up in the Google space, in the search engine, search, and then come down to the bottom and see what Google has. This ultimately helps you build this list that I had here. I'm sorry for scrolling up at the top of SEO keywords. So that's what I did. I just went out and did a whole bunch of searches. These are the terms and phrases that I felt showed up the most and are phrases that should be in the content of my document. All right. So that's it for SEO. Now we're going to actually hop into creating a website. How do I know a keyword search from Margaret? So again, you have to think about your business, and you have to think about what would people be searching on that is going to result in finding your business. So if you just keep thinking about that, keep trying different phrases, excuse me, that's how you would, find those keywords. Look for the words that happen the most. All right. Look in the people who are doing ads. So I showed you WeWork had a phrase in there that they were using to define what it is they offer. Go down to that bottom, look at those words. You're going to start to see some trends, some words appearing, some phrases appearing on a regular basis. And that's what you use to pick out your keywords, which you ultimately want to embed in the content of your website. All right. So before I switch gears now to actually building the website, any other questions? This would be a good place to take a pause. And for me to take a sip of water. All right, I'm moving on because we got a lot to cover. So this is Squarespace. When you go into Squarespace and you are starting to build a website, They come in and they ask you a whole series of questions about your business. Are you a local business? Are you a storefront? Are you in the creative field? And as you answer those questions, it starts to filter the templates that it has. And Squarespace has well over 100 templates to use. My one comment about templates are a great starting place. All right. So in any one of these, I can review the actual template. It'll bring me in, it'll show me kind of its design and things. I tend to look for a template that has the pages already created that I want. If you can't find it, not a big deal. With any template, at least in Squarespace, and I'm pretty sure in all the other providers, you have the ability of changing the font, changing the colors, changing the pages, changing almost virtually everything of the website. It's a little overwhelming to some degree of the content that you can change. So is Squarespace a paid or free platform? It is absolutely a paid platform. You have to pay to use their sites. They have different levels. Most small businesses can live on either their personal option or their small business option. And it's a couple of $100 a year to have your website hosted by them. Will I own my site and content and be able to move it later? So you can elect to either pay annually or pay monthly, and that is true with all the other providers that I mentioned. And will you own the content? So technically you do own the content. You are the owner of that website. I do not know of any website provider that provides you a means of moving it to another provider. And they do that to prevent you from doing it. It's just plain and simple. So none of these tools provide options to migrate it over. So if I create this in Squarespace and I want to ultimately use Wix, can't migrate it over. You got to go to Wix, you got to recreate it. If you want to convert it to a WordPress site, same thing. You've got to go in, you've got to do it. And the reason being is that in their defense, they have very unique technologies that they're using. And so it's just not transformable to another platform that uses other technologies. These people over there. So I have a particular template that I picked out already. It's called Clove. And so I'm going to start with Clove. And so what it's going to do now is it's going to actually build a website for me. It's going to come complete with a whole bunch of pages already done and a bunch of Latin content in it that I have to ultimately replace. Seems like a bit pokey today. Okay. So right now I have a website. It has an about page, a service page, a team page, a blog page, and a contact page. Okay. I'm going to move my wireframe just so I can see it myself. Of what we want to create. Bear with me 1 second. Okay. All right. So we have your site. All right. What I want to do first is to just go in and create the structure that I defined in my wireframe. Okay. So if I bring my wireframe back, for you to see, it's a main page, a service page, an about us, schedule a tour, contact us, and photo gallery. So I'm going to move that off page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start working on this. So we've got a main page. So we have a home page here. One of the new trends today is that the word home does not show up in your menu here. Everyone now knows that if you click on the icon in the upper left, that brings you back to your home page. So my first page is my service page. So I'm going to move it to service. And then I have an about us page. I have a schedule a tour, which is not on here yet. I don't have a team page, so I'm going to remove that. I'm going to do a blog page later on, so I'm going to remove that one. And so now what I really need to create is schedule a tour. So I'm going to add a page, and with Squarespace and all the other ones, they have a whole bunch of templates that you can use. So this presents you with templates for pages. So generally, you've got these pages that you can create. They have some very specific ones. If I'm doing an appointment, which I have one, which would schedule a tour, this is what I'm going to use. Right now, what I'm looking for, well, actually, it is schedule a tour that I'm looking for. So I'm going to choose appointments. And, we pick a page. All right. So I'm going to just pick this one. Again, what I pick is not all that relevant. It's just to show you how some of this is done. And so this is going to be schedule a tour. Okay. And that's going to go down to there. After schedule a tour, I have contact us. So they have contact. I'm going to change it to say contact us. I just like doing that. Oh, I didn't actually edit it. Contact us. And we'll save that. All right. So then after contact us, I just have a photo gallery is what I want to add. So I'm going to add another page right now. And they have gallery options here. I like the title at the top, or a picture at the top of all my pages. So I'm going to choose that one. And we're going to call that photo gallery. And I'm going to drop that down to the bottom. Okay, so now if you look across the top of my menus, it now is starting to represent what I had in my wireframe. Now, the one difference is, if you remembered on services, I was going to actually have 3 sub menus, which was open seating, meeting rooms, and private offices. So I actually need to change this service here. Squarespace calls them folders. So I'm going to drop in a folder, and I'm going to call that services. Call it our services. I'm going to lose this page here. All right. And so now I'm going to add pages in here. And so the page layout that I'm going to choose is a service. And let's see. Let's go with this. And that is going to be open seating. And now I'm just going to quickly add 2 more. I'm going to choose service, going to choose this for some consistency. That's going to be meeting rooms. And we're going to add 1 more page. Services. And we're going to try something different over here. And we're going to call that private offices. Okay. So now I've created this structure here. And if you notice, when I highlight our services now, I now have a drop down here for people to use. And again, the reason I do that is it kind of tells Google that these are really important, that they deserve their own page. Just a little SEO technique. And I also just kind of like that design. There's a lot of content that I have about each of those options. So to put them all on one page would be quite overwhelming. And then down here, these are called non-link pages. So I talked about that. You have the stuff that's in your menu that shows up here. Non-link pages are pages that, excuse me, show up. Generally, they show up like down in your footer section down here. So I talked about having a privacy policy. So a lot of times you'll see a link down at the bottom that just says our privacy policy. And so these pages would be linked down there. When you go to them, they look like they're part of the website. The main menu option is there. It's just there's no direct link up at the top. So we'll get into doing those in a minute. But let's start at our home page. So right now, this particular website obviously has a color palette that it just comes with the template and such. But what I want to do first, before I do anything, is to come in and work on the style of my website. Squarespace offers you just an unimaginable amount of options to change your website and how it looks and its presentation. I'm going to focus just on a couple of things. So one of the most important things is obviously your palette, your color selections of your website. And so I'm going to actually create a palette based on, I'm going to create it based on my logo for my website. So let me go see if I can find that. Let's just see, let's get to the right place. Website of the day. And so I have a logo, which I'm going to drop here. Drop it. Great. Well, let me drop it. So now I got to go pick it. Hang on. Oh, it did drop it. Okay. So it dropped the image in there. And as you can see, it created a template of colors up here. These are all, it's just kind of read my logo and created it. It always creates a white and a black, which I would suggest because you've got white writing letters, and then in other sections you have black letters that you may want to use. And then if you had other colors that you wanted to introduce in your palette, you surely can go in and create them and adjust or put new colors on however you want. I just wanted to make this one a little less blue, somewhere between these two right here. All right, so now I've changed my color palette, and as if you notice, the website's now changed to that color palette. You don't notice a lot on this page, but here's a background now, which is represented by this color. My buttons, I don't know if you notice, they changed. And also, if you notice on each of these sections, they highlight, okay, this is using lightest one, where this one's using dark one. So you've got all these color palette options here. So each section of your website or each page of your website can now fall in one of these. So Squarespace gives you 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different variations of your color palette between the font of the text to the background and things, but it allows you to stay consistent, stay within your palette. And again, that all gets back to the branding of your business. If by chance you are fancy on a particular font, Squarespace allows you to come in here and put your font in here so that your website matches the font formats of your brand. So branding is another whole huge topic. And we can get into that in a different webinar, but one of the things with your website is you want to stay very consistent with your brand. Okay. The other thing that I always do is I'm not a big fan of square buttons. I really like, this particular shape. It's just kind of offsets. It makes it slightly unique. Squarespace provides 3 different variations of buttons. I'm gonna make them all doing that just to stay consistent. So you can change colors, you can change text size, you can change all kinds of things. Okay, so now we've got kind of our coloring done. I'm going to go in and save this. Click on save. Okay. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start working on the website, and we're going to start right up here at the top. So I'm going to edit my header. And I'm going to add my logo to my website. Drop it on. So now I've got a logo up there. It's kind of tiny. I'm pretty proud of my logo, so I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Okay. I have the option of determining what do I want on this bar. So I have a get started button up here. I'm not a big fan of that, so I'm going to take that off. Of course, I want to put on my social links. There is a place in here, we're not going to get into that today, of defining your social links. Oh, I see a couple questions that come up. What is this site for Wireframe org chart? So I used Visio to do mine, which is a Microsoft product. There's a website called Octopus. I think it's octopus.io. That's another site. It allows you to do one project for free. That's a great tool to use. I see. So octopus.do is someone had put it in there. Can I make changes in my site once it's published? Oh, absolutely. Every tool does it a little bit differently. I like how Wix does it the best. Wix allows you to make a whole bunch of changes and then publish it. Squarespace is a little kind of on the line, on the wire. Once I make a change, as soon as I make that change, it is live and ready to go. Now, when you first start off, so right now, this particular website is not live. There is a, I need to create, attach a domain to it. And I then need to push a button that says, make this public. But once it's public, if you come in here and you make a change, that change is immediate in Squarespace. So just make sure you know what you're doing when you do it. And the reality is, you know, if something doesn't look good, you just undo what you did and put it back. It's not until you choose this done and save that it then becomes published. All right. So we got our social links. If you were selling something, you can add a cart to the, to your website up at the top. Squarespace provides a language switching tool. I believe that is an additional charge to use that tool, or actually, I think it incorporates the Google language tool converter, and you've got to have an account to do that. The Microsoft product that I used is called Visio. And it's not included with every version of Office 365, but it's actually a phenomenal tool. I've done a lot of work with it in the past. All right, what else do I want to do? So style wise, so this part of it defines how the top of my website looks. I could make it solid so that it's a solid color, and I can define what that color is. I can make it gradient, which I kind of like because it takes the bleeded image and then slowly grades it back to a lighter color. It makes seeing your menu options a little bit easier. So I'm going to go with gradient there, and you can put borders, drop shadows. I mean, like I said, there's a whole host of things that you can do. This fixed position thing, I like the scroll back option, so that if you're at the bottom of the web page and you start to scroll back or scroll up, your menus show up. You don't have to go to the top to see them. And when you're at the top and you start to scroll down, it'll eventually roll itself back up. So I kind of like the way that works. And again, every website hosting provider out there does things slightly different, but that's how Squarespace does it. Okay, so again, I'm going to hit save and done. I'm just paranoid of always, my PC has been really flaky today, so I just want to make sure that it's working. All right, next I'm going to hop into now working on my home page. Okay, so I'm going to I'm in edit, and now I'm going to work on this particular section. All right, so What I want to do is change the background. So I'm going to delete the one that's there, and let's find the right picture that I want to use. Bear with me 1 second. Just gonna get my screens organized. It's way too much. Okay. Going to drop this picture on here. All right, so this was the actual, my actual facility. So I'm going to just drop that on there. And now if I go to my content document, I can now look at, okay, what did I have? So here's my title. I'm just going to copy that. I'm going to put my content document over on the side to get it out of the way. Now, what I want to do is to remove that stuff, and I'm going to now paste what I had. And obviously I need to make this a little bit bigger. And so like all the sites and even Microsoft Word, right, there's all these definitions of headers and footers and paragraphs, and you can obviously go in and edit all that. I'm not going to get into that today, but you really can make your site and as customizable, like I said, as you want. Like I said, it's being a little finicky on me today. Okay. Edit the section. I'm going to add a couple more rows here just to make it a little bit bigger while I work. What I also want to do now is you should always have call to action on your website. So I'm going to put a series of buttons on here. So I always wanted people to book a meeting room. So I want to provide them a tool to do that right away. We'll get into linking them once I actually have the pages. I'm going to add another button. Here. And that's going to be to schedule a tour. Again, call to action buttons are important to have, on here. So I see one thing that I don't like, and that is it's all uppercase. So I do need to go in and edit my buttons so that they're not uppercase. But so that's that. And then I'm going to add one more button because this was something that people told me I should have had on my website. Oh boy, that's a problem. And on this, we're just going to do call us. And on this, we're going to make it a phone call. So 1-555-1234-5678. So save that. And so now if somebody clicks on that and they're on a mobile phone, it'll come out. All right, so now I got a little too much space right here. So I'm going to come in and reduce that space. All right. So now I've got my top of my website done. And now I'm just going to come down to the next section of the website. And so I'm just going to copy the content that I had. So let's see, could you repeat the name? Visio, it's a basic workflow program, very simple, it is. Thanks, Paula. So Christine, I take my own pictures and still learning. Will Squarespace automatically resize images to fit? It does. I'll show you that in a couple of the things that I do as I go through this exercise. You know, one of the things that when you're building a website and you're using your own images. So actually all the images that you see here, I took all on my iPhone, to be honest with you. The thing to consider when you're building a website and using your own images, you don't want them to be real big and heavy. You got to find an editing tool that's going to slim them down so that they're not all that heavy, and your website doesn't take, you know, 30 seconds to load because it's trying to load every picture is a 5 gig or a 5 meg, you know, file. So just keep that into consideration when you're using your own things. So are most website templates designed as a continuous scroll? I don't know the exact answer to that. You know, a continuous scroll meaning, if I understand your question correctly, and that's just one page of all the information on your website. To me, that's a matter of preference. I'm more traditional. I like having unique pages, and those pages have a finite, you know, beginning and an end with a footer at the, you know, a footer at the bottom. I think that's more of a, you know, a personal choice on how you want your website to be. So I'm going to copy this content. I'm going to come in here, remove what's in there. If you notice, I have my stuff in Microsoft Word, and I'm using this paste as plain text button that's provided here. And that's just so it doesn't bring over any special codes or anything. And it allows me to have just simple code here that I can then go in and alter and not worry about what are, you know, maybe some embedded language or text in there. So we're going to make this header 2. The reason I'm choosing header 2 as opposed to header 1, because in this particular template, header 1 is just way too big. And I don't want to take the time of, you know, going in and editing all that. I'd rather show you how to, you know, do more. So instead of learn more, I'm going to change that to book a tour, because I found with my site, if I can get someone in my doors, I would be able to get them to stay. All right, so then I said after my intro, I wanted to get into a section that did my services. I want to just immediately have a place where they know what my services are. So I'm going to pop a new section in here. We're going to choose services, and then I'm going to choose a format that I feel as though looks pretty good. So I'm actually going to choose this one here. So it pops in, you know, that format there. You can always edit the section. You can put a background in the section. You can, you know, remember I talked about colors. So if I choose this, it now chooses that color. If I choose this template, it now has that as the background color. And, you know, all different variations. Okay. I'm going to choose this one for now. All right. And so now if I want to start editing the content. So what I'm going to have now is, so I offered meeting rooms, private offices, and open seating. So I want to have squares for each of those, and then there's a little button on each of those that are now going to take me to those particular pages. But I wanted to get my services right here up front, you know, out there. So do I want a title? Sure. Do I want a button at the bottom? No, I don't. Show images, so titles, show the body, and show the button. I want a button for each of my things. All right, so now content. So bear with me as I go in and I now create my sections. So go back to my images. Okay, so let's start with meeting rooms first. So I'm going to drop an image on here. All right, while that image is loading. and then you would put some content in here. To meet your clients. I am not a content writer, as you can see. So you put more details or something that's going to ultimately link them to the next page. And so I'm going to go in and I'm just going to quickly add the other, I'm just going to do the 3. All right, so the next one was private offices. So let's grab a picture of an office, drop that on there. And again, if you know, the key to everything is having all of this already in your mind done, having the content already done. So when you come over here to build the website, you know, it's cut and paste, and that's it. There isn't a lot of thought. You can surely, you know, my approach has always been get the content on the pages, then go back and work on making the pages look uniform, making some minor tweaks and things. But again, done is better than perfect. Just going to do your own space, one price, everything included. All right, not very creative, but details. Got that one. And then the last one is just going to be open seating. Just find my picture. It's not a great one, but it'll do. Let's see. Flexible space by the hour is what I'll do. And then more details. All right, so I've now done that. I've got to work on my title. Oh, it says our services already. So that's great. I'm just going to edit this section a little bit. That's not what I wanted. I think it's design. Maximum column, so I can actually define how many columns I'm going to have. We can actually text size. We're going to go to medium text size. So that's space, media with content with space between lines. So a whole bunch of stuff that we can obviously start to play around with in here. So you know, just everything is available. Well, let's just say that to try to work on all the stuff there. All right, and then the last thing that I was going to do, I'm going to actually remove this section. So remove the section because the last thing I said I was just going to do on my site was, or on my home page, was to just put a testimonial at the bottom. So I've got testimonial here. Copy that. I'm just going to remove. So all this stuff that I'm removing, this is just all stuff that came on, you know, with the template. And this one fits perfectly. It's a testimonial already. I'm going to delete what's in there and I'm going to pop in my stuff. All right. So I'm going to make that header 3. I want to make that centered. That's a little bit big. So let's go to header 4. All right. And now they have a blog section, which I'm going to remove. So they have this little thing on the bottom, which is a little tagline. So let's put something in here. I kind of like putting something in here. Changing the way we work. Schedule a tour. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. So that shrinks it a little bit. And now I'm done. Okay, so I'm going to save what I've done. And so I've built page 1 at this point. Now I haven't done my footer yet. I'm not going to do that in this particular demo, but if I want to now take a look and see what my website looks like, this is my home page, my menu options up above. I put a couple of call to action buttons there. Welcome to your next office. Here are our services. So at some point, I will link these up to pages I create. A little testimonial, another call to action, and then the footer page down there. So my page 1 is done at this point. Any questions at this point before I go on? We're at the 1 hour point. We really just have a half hour at this point to go on. I'm going to continue on with just kind of showing you how to create certain pages. Every page has, some little uniques, things that maybe if you see me do them, they'll help you, with you if you try to go down this path. I do want to change my buttons, as I said. Not a big fan of all uppercase. So if I go to my buttons, I'm going to set these to capitalization, which is what I like. Secondary, and just make sure all my buttons are capitalizations. If you noticed, as I did that, my buttons changed. Everybody is different. Everyone has their own preferences, so you choose, what works the best for you. Gonna save that change. Okay. So here we are. We have page 1 done. Oh, keep clicking on the wrong thing. Sorry. All right, so we have a whole bunch of pages to do, and obviously in the course of an hour of talking about this, I'm not going to get them done, but it is very realistic to think that you actually can build a website in a day. I've done it numerous times. Again, going back to if you have all the content already done, really it's just an exercise of building the page, pasting in the content, and then, spending a little bit of time on formatting, styling, and then you've got a website done. I'll do schedule a tour. There's kind of a unique thing that we do in here. And some of you I use Calendly as a booking tool. There's Acuity, there's a whole host of them. Even Microsoft has their bookings thing, and all of them allow you to, they say, hey, you can embed into a website. So I want to actually show you how you would embed something in here, and I'm going to embed in a booking calendar just to give you an idea of what that looks like. All right, Christine, this assumes I am at a certain level of competence. I need more basic support to set up a website in a day. I don't have all that content at the ready. So content is, is like I said, I think that's 90% of building your website. So I would agree with you. You either write the content yourself, or you have to hire someone who does that kind of work for a living to write your content. And I know from working with all of my clients, most of us who start businesses, we just don't have the money to go out and hire a website designer, hire someone to create a logo, hire someone to create our content. I fully understand that and respect that, but you've got to make a decision. You've got to have a website. You've got to have some kind of web presence. I know a lot of people feel as though Facebook or other social medias are what you need for your content. My argument against that is that if anyone is going to go out and do a search and find you, it's really helpful to have a website. Google spends a lot of its cycles and importance on hooking and reading your website to understand what your purpose is. So without a website, Google doesn't have that as a tool, may not be as willing to have you show up in the top search areas, of your URL. If you talk to anyone who's an SEO expert, they're going to tell you you need to have a website, and that website needs to have all those keywords in it. So to get back to your question about, content, one of the things is just keep it simple. Identify what some of those keywords are, keep your stuff to a paragraph or two, just get a presence on the web and slowly build that content and go back in and update your pages. That's what I did with my co-working space. I, like all of you, had 1,000 things to do to get that space up and running. I would say I redid my website over 20 different times. Started very simple, couple of pages just to get a presence out there. Several call to action buttons to call me, book an appointment, book a tour, book a meeting room, got that done, then went back and ultimately started to build. And I ultimately had 20, 30 pages on my website, of all different kinds of things. Looks like you're working on a Squarespace trial subscription. Yeah. Can you develop and publish a website on trial, or you need to pay someone first? You absolutely need to, before this can go public, you have to sign up for one of their programs. This is a little misleading. As you can see, this trial ends in 184 days. Because I have developed so many websites with Squarespace, I am considered a circle developer, which is a group of individuals that have proven to Squarespace that we can develop websites. Because of that, I get an extension on my trial. So I actually get 6 months of trial. So when I work with a client, I can bring the website up and then ultimately pass it over to them. But it allows us 6 months to develop the website. I think normally Squarespace gives you 2 weeks, and that's it. So you can play around for 2 weeks, with your website. And if you feel as though it's the right tool and the right product, you then have to sign up for one of their plans and subscribe and publish your website. You don't have to publish it. You can subscribe to one of the plans and not publish it until you're ready. But in order to publish it, you have to have a subscription with it. So Fiverr is a wonderful tool for logos, finding a person to help. Yep. There's a whole bunch of those sites out there that low cost to get logos done. I would agree with you. Before looking to invest in website development for your business, to the Empowered Digital Grant, MGCC. Yep, that is a tool out there. There are a significant number of parameters around qualification for that. But if you fit that qualification, sure, you can get some sponsor money to do that. There's also other grants that are out there for building websites or to getting money to starting your business. That's a whole different topic. Anyone here or either art or craft that wants to partner online to support each other, feel that having an accountability partner, yep, to get things done. So one thing as far as accountability partners, that is something that I do with all my clients here at the Small Business Center. As a business coach, I try to keep on my clients to keep moving forward. So that is something that we do. And if you're looking for a business coach, we're free. So it's, at the end, Sarah is going to send out some information about how to register with us, but you can do that. All right. So what I wanted to show you here was how to actually embed something. So let me just go get my code. Just see intros, testimonials, frequently asked questions, open seating, private offices, privacy policy. All right, so I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to edit this. And I'm going to drop this. So Squarespace actually provides a scheduling tool. It's called Acuity. It is an additional fee to use their tool. They purchased Acuity. So I'm going to choose this embed tool. So if you use, like I said, I use Calendly as my calendar tool, and all of these tools provide you with code to embed. All right, and so what you do is you kind of come into this tool, and you drop kind of your code in it that they provide for you. All right, so I'm just going to grab the code that they provided for me. And I'm going to drop it in here. So it's all HTML, if any of you are familiar what it is. Okay, and I'm going to drop it in there and poof, nothing happens, right? It looks like nothing happened, but in design mode, it actually will not render the page. So let me save this. And now, as you can see, it has dropped my calendar in here. So if you're working with any third-party product that allows you to embed content into your website, that's how you do it. It's a matter of choosing a block. They have an embed block where you just then drop that code in, and when you do that, it then shows up. It shows up on your website. And usually you don't have a lot of control of what it looks like. It all depends on your provider that you're using. I know with Calendly, it talks about, do I want shadows? Do I want borders around it? What's the color that I want? That's all part of what I just embedded into it. It works great. So if I go into my design mode and I choose, one of these dates, it drops right into my program of now going in and collecting the information and scheduling the event. Okay. So that's how you would embed something into a website. One of the things that's really important, whatever tool you use to build your website, make sure it's called it's referred to as being responsive. And so that is the website will respond to whatever tool or product that you're using. So if you're on a cell phone, so Squarespace actually will show you what it looks like on a cell phone. So it then of course drops your menus into into kind of a menuing system like that. Go back to my home page. So this is now showing me what does my website look like if I were to look at it on a phone. So again, my only comment is most of the tools out there do that. Some of the older ones like a GoDaddy, or even some of the older WordPress sites that are out there, just make sure that they do this automatically. If you've got to go in and code this, it's just way too complicated and something you don't want to get into. But I think many of the major website building sites out there now do this automatically for you. But it's just a key point I wanted to show you. All right. As far as like editing buttons, it's 10 after now, so I don't want to bore you with keeping to just show you how to do pages, but I do want to show you how to kind of edit like buttons, right? So if I wanted to come in here and edit this button. Oh, I have to edit the content. Sorry, I forgot what I was doing. So when you edit a button, you either can have it when your user clicks on it automatically generate an email. And so you can actually put the to in here. So if you wanted it to come to you, you can put it there. Or if you're using an alias like sales@clearlycoworking.com, you can put it in there. You can have buttons go to external web pages. So if you wanted to put a button to link to some other, maybe a portfolio that you have or a personal website, you can do that. We do have social buttons which link to Facebook and to LinkedIn and things like that. But you can have it actually link to a file. So if you've got a Google Doc out there that you want a button to pull up when they click, you can just provide the path to that Google Doc. Pages is going to look at your current website and list all of the pages on your site. So if we had built a meeting room page, it would have showed up here and we could put it in. I accidentally chose that. I'm just going to choose our private office page, but the idea here is that these buttons will ultimately point back to a website or a page that we've got. And then I showed you the phone one. This is great for mobile devices. If you put a button with a phone number in it and embed it in the background, when they click that button, it automatically places the call on their phone. So buttons are quite versatile on web pages. They can do a whole bunch of different things. Trying to think of some of the other unique things that you can do. Let's just go into if I were to work on meeting room pages. All right, so I want to now go in and put some of my meeting rooms that I had. So we'll start off with my clerk office. Drop the image in there. With Squarespace, there's and with all the things, you talked about, somebody asked about resizing images. You can resize images. I got to get out of this format here. You can do all kinds of funky stuff with, rounding the corners, of your page. Lightbox is a really nice thing. What that does is allow someone to click on the picture and it actually brings it up into full screen. So someone had mentioned they had taken their own pictures. It's really kind of nice to enable Lightbox so that people can actually view the pictures in full design. So I now can go in here and really, resize this picture to whatever size and format that I want. I'm just going to edit this section and just make it a little bit bigger so I can add a whole bunch of stuff to it. Move this stuff down. Content. And on my button, I want to have them book this room right away. And of course, I would then point this to, I had a particular tool that actually allowed my clients to book the different rooms right online, its own calendar. Okay, so again, I'm not gonna, I had a whole bunch of rooms, but I'm just gonna do 2 here to kind of just show you the process. I'll bring my image back up here. Squarespace just implemented this new technology. You can see as I move stuff around, there's this grid in the background, which would allows me to freely move stuff around. Really nice new feature that was just added literally a month ago, which makes developing these pages much easier. Before it was a little tricky on how to and how to do it. All right, so now I'm going to put a picture of my boardroom in. So, getting back to the keywords, so boardroom was something that I saw come up all the time on key searches. So whenever I referred to my Tatnick room, I called that my boardroom. And so now I've got the term boardroom up in my content, which now tells Google this is important, and you need to pay attention to it. And so it's again, this just an SEO kind of a trick. So I'm just copying content. And now I want to drop it in here. And so again, if you've got all this stuff written out, it surely makes doing this much simpler and much quicker. Of course, if you're unlike me and you delete things, it makes it harder. Okay, so again, just real simple. Obviously, you'd spend a lot more time on your own website to make this stuff look a lot nicer. Put Tatnick now. So those of you who are familiar with the Worcester area, Tatnick Square is an area in the city that I have a connection to, so I named one of my my boardroom the Tatnick room. All right, so now we've got the stuff in here. I want to go in and edit this section now and just bring up this bottom here because it's just too much white space. Okay, that's done. And now I just want to add another section in here, which is going to be, let's see, I think I almost want a blank page. I'm going to add a blank section. And we're going to add a text block to it. So, one of the things with renting rooms was a whole bunch of questions on payments and cancellations and how all that worked. So I could have put it in an FAQ, but I ended up putting the content right on my booking pages so that everyone knew and understood it. So I'm just going to drop in my payment and cancellation policy, my inclement weather policy, and my late policy in here. Okay, so I can just edit this section. I'm going to drop the rows down to small. I'm going to make it small in height. It looks like I got some extra spaces in here. drop that out. All right. So I put that in there. If I want, I could add a picture in here. So for those of you that don't have your own photos, Squarespace comes with a whole bunch of stock images. I think I don't know about the other sites, but these are all free to use. They do have some premium images, which you have to pay, to use those premium images, but there's some stock. So let's just see storm. What do they got for bad weather? All right. So I don't spend a lot of time. I'm going to choose, we'll choose this one. I'm going to add that image. And I'm just going to move this down. All right. Let's save. All right, so now I've got my meeting pages all done. If I look at it quickly, it just lists 2 of my rooms here for now. And then I've got some policies that are down here. What I would normally do is then put links under here, under each of these things. I would put a link to FAQs about booking rooms, but I would have to build that page, to do that. So now that I have my meeting room page done, I could actually go back to my my site here, or my page here. Oh, I got to get out of view. I'm going to edit this, and now on more details. Come on. Am I in edit? Yeah. Oh, I keep doing this because so I want to choose page. I got to remove what's in there, and now I go to meeting rooms, and I save that. And now if I were to browse my home page and I come down and I see meeting rooms, if I click on that, it now brings me over to the meeting room page. Okay. So we're coming towards the end of the presentation at this point. My goal here today was to just show you, kind of the process of building a website, create your frame, create your content, and then come in, reproduce your wireframe with the pages as just the templates, and then start drilling down through those pages, replacing the stuff that came with the templates with your content. Make sure you've got, your coloring schemes set up, and you've got your right fonts if your branding includes a particular font. There are, probably 230 different, options of how to customize, fonts and text and things, whole bunch of things that you can do. Squarespace, provides many things kind of out of the box. If you're not happy with like how that looks, which I don't think looks all that great, to be honest with you, you can come in and you can drop custom code in here. This is a little more technical because it's getting into a code. There's all kinds of websites out there that provide you with Squarespace code to drop in here. So I'm just going to drop in some code that I found on the web. I'm going to hit save. And now when I go to my services, now it looks different, right? Now I put some color in it. I rounded the corners. I could have even, as I highlighted these actually should be highlighted and follow my mouse, but there's a lot of ways of even overriding the templates to do what you want them to do. So that's a little more technical. That's a little harder, to do. If you're feeling adventurous, like if you wanted to take this text box and put color behind it, there's custom code that you can do to do that. Again, a little more difficult. Go back to my comment of, done is better than perfect. Your version 1 of the website, get it done, keep it simple, get the pages you need to have out there, get it done, publish it, and then go from there. Squarespace, Wix, all those tools, they all allow you to bring in your own domain. So you make sure that you do that. And that, I'm trying to think of where that's done in here, but I forget where that is. I think it's under settings is where you have domains. Yep. And you can now use your own domain and import it here. You can actually buy domains directly from Squarespace. I'm not a big fan of that. I use Google domains, domains.google.com to buy all of my domains. They're $12. It includes the privacy protection in that $12. Most websites play nicely with Google. So when I use my own domain here, I tell it it's in Google. The transformation of it bringing over to here is fairly straightforward. All right, gone over a lot of stuff at this point. Hope I haven't bored you to tears at this point. But there's, it's not that hard. Of course, I say it coming from a technical background, and I understand for those of you who are not technical, this may have been intimidating. You get 2 weeks to play around with it and try it. I would suggest doing it. And if you've, like a lot of my clients have a niece or a nephew or a son or a daughter that is familiar with, technology, a little more comfortable with it. Showing them how to use this tool, they pick it up in 10-15 minutes and they can do it. The bottom line is give it a try and see if you can do it. I do work with my clients on building websites. I don't build them for them, but I do assist. So if you're one of my clients and you say you're stuck on something, I have no issues spending an hour or two with you, kind of going over your website, helping you maybe move stuff around, work on the colorization, work on whatever, it is that you want. So that's it. I did record this. We'll post it up on our YouTube page if you want to go back and review it at any time. Sarah has put a couple of links in the chat. One is to register for us. The other is we ask that you take a quick survey, let us know how we did, and help us improve, going forward. I do a series of webinars on different things. I think the next one that I'm going to do is going to be on the Microsoft platform, the Office 365, talking about, all of the different tools that they provide now that most people aren't even aware of exist out there. I do Tech Talks, as I mentioned at the beginning, Tech Talks with Rob. Those are the first Thursday of every month. They are kind of open mic in the sense that you can join during any part of the hour and ask your question. We usually get 2 or 3 people to come in and ask questions. We cover things from cybersecurity to web spaces to domain names to emails, anything and everything. Surely don't have all the answers, but I do my best to try to answer. So any last questions? You can come off mic too if you'd like. You don't have to type at this point.
Hi, Rob. It's Paula.
Hi, Paula.
Who does your Facebook? You guys do an awesome job.
That would be Sarah who does our
Sarah,
Facebook.
it's awesome. I just want to
Thank
toot
you,
your
Paula.
horn. Toot toot.
Thank you.
Maybe you could teach a class on how to do that. Facebook,
We are actually
Instagram.
redoing our website at this point using the Squarespace platform. So hopefully in the next couple of months, you'll see our new website as well.
Beautiful.
All right. Well, thank you all very much for joining us. And I hope you have a good week. Stay cool if you can. And hopefully we're going to get some relief in the next couple of days. So thank you again.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.